Welcome to Popternative, where we dive into topical discussions from the worlds of pop culture, social media, and sports. Here is your host, Peter Remoliotis, aka PD Beats.
PD Beats here from Popternative, speaking to Becky Robinson about Middlemost Post, which is going to be premiering July 9th on Nickelodeon. Thank you for doing this. Welcome to the show.
God, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
It's an exciting time, right? Because, it's pretty close, and I feel like June has just gone by so quick and everything. I mean, you were going to be voicing a reformed Rain Cloud, I believe.
Yeah. We were on a journey with Parker J. Cloud, and we've been recording throughout the whole pandemic. Parker J. Cloud has gotten me through these times. I'm sitting where we recorded many of the episodes. I don't know if you can see my gorgeous blankets right here. Very expensive voiceover studio I've crafted. It falls down about halfway through every VO session. The guys are always like, "Why isn't your camera on? Why isn't your light on?" And I'm like, "You don't want to see this. I look like a killer in here."
It's one of those things too where there's a lot of things people don't know about, like voice acting and voiceovers, that especially during the pandemic, a lot of like people's favorite voices from all around the world, different shows, were just like filmed and like recorded in like a small little booth.
Yeah, we're all just at home. It was kind of nice though, because we recorded the pilot together and then we all went to record at home, and so it was kind of like we always had a few more hours budgeted for every session just in case, and so we always kind of just like caught up and got to know each other really well. And I think it really helped with the chemistry of like improvising while not standing right next to each other over Zoom. A lot of people grew to hate Zoom. I kind of love it.
Absolutely. No, but it's interesting too, because I obviously have questions about Middlemost Post, but I mean, because you're also, people know you from your comedy stuff. You're also a comedian. I just want to know, were you like, did the voiceover stuff happen kind of after? Was it before? Like, tell us a little bit about that.
I used to tell jokes about my voice on stage. I used to say, like, I mean, I do have high testosterone, so I'd be like, yeah, this is my real voice. I'm not like doing anything. I sound like Jonathan Taylor Thomas had a rough night out. And ever since I moved to LA and kind of like it got through my parents' head, I think that I was like gonna do stand-up. I was like, no, I'm doing stand-up. I don't really come from an entertainment family. So they're like, my mom has always been like, you should try voiceover, you should do it. So I was always I took a lot of classes when I first moved to LA, when I was first doing stand-up, and, it was probably years of auditioning before I booked anything. And then right off the bat, they were kind of like, I think young boy / girl is definitely like your range. And so those were a lot of the auditions I was doing. And sometimes I would go into audition for a female and they'd be like, hold up, we want to try you for this boy character. So it's kind of very like an in-between voice. And Parker is, a little nimbus. It's neither a he nor a she, and I originally went in to audition for Russell the Magic Walrus, whose stomach also doubles as a mail bag in the show. And they kind of stopped me on my way out and they were like, can you audition for Parker? And I was like, yeah. And I the more I read about Parker, I was like, I am in love with this character. And it just it wasn't too far off my real voice once I really the character Parker really like leads with emotion. And so
absolutely,
it was fairly just fun to play, like easy. It wasn't, a lot of roles I get are very sweaty roles, like I normally leave every voiceover job sweating. A lot of energy, a lot of like very physical on stage too. And so I think that they saw that and they were just like, yeah, this feels like Parker.
Now it's going to premiere July 9th on Nickelodeon. And tell us a little bit more about the show. I mean, we know about your character Parker, but I believe, in terms of the creation, I mean, there's some SpongeBob ties to this, correct?
Yeah. So the creator of the show, John Trabick, is just absolutely amazing. We both are very in love with Taco Bell. When we were at the premiere, he gifted me a Taco Bell burrito. Right? It was the first time we had like seen each other in person, aside from a year and a half ago. But he was a storyboard director on SpongeBob.
Absolutely.
So there's a lot of that. The animation of Middlemost Post, it very goes back to like the golden age of animation with like the Squish and Release.
I could see that 100%.
Yeah. The first time I saw like a snippet of the first episode, I was like, oh, I'm in literally the best company of all time. Like it blew my mind. I was like, oh, this is not even just a show for kids. Like I want to watch this. My parents would want to watch this. So there's really, something for everyone in the show. And the jokes, like in animation, there's a lot of jokes where it's like, oh, parents will for sure be like, they'll hear their kid watching it and be like, I gotta see this.
But that was like the same thing though when I was watching shows like SpongeBob and Hey
Yeah.
Arnold and Rocket Power. It's the exact same thing.
Exactly. Oh my God, Rocket Power. Yeah, Rocket Power.
Rocket
SpongeBob,
Power
Hey
was
Arnold.
like those are like my top 3 Nickelodeon cartoons. Like I'm from Canada originally. Sports, so Rocket Power, we always obsessed with that.
Yeah.
But SpongeBob, and there's like it's funny, and I feel like TikTok has to do this. Have you noticed there's like a resurface of like old TV shows? I guess
Yeah.
it's because all the
Totally.
stream. Yeah, there's like a resurfacing of
Yeah.
like TV shows. Like SpongeBob pops up a lot more now.
Yeah, it was like first the 90s fashion came back, and then it's a lot of memes and TikToks, and there's SpongeBob memes everywhere. And I'm like, wow, am I that old that like now it's resurfacing? Like the 70s jeans came back, and I wonder if they thought they were old when that happened. But I hope the same thing happens with Middlemost Post.
Yeah,
Like,
like
there's
it
a
looks like
lot,
it's
a
gonna be a
lot of
lot.
shows.
It looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. It looks like it's very colorful as well. When people watch the show, when it premieres on Nickelodeon, Becky, what are you hoping they get out of it specifically, takeaway wise?
I hope I just hope they enjoy it.
Yeah.
I hope they see the show. And I just remember, I mean, when we first recorded the first episode and when I read what the show was about, I was I was like, I wish the show was around when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Or, just having grown up with it, because it's Parker, the little Nimbus, can really transform into anything it wants to, which I think is so cool. And it's got a rainbow unitard, and it's just like you can be whoever you want whenever you want, as long as you just remember to like love people and take care of your friends, take care of your family, and just be there for people. And it I just think I hope that people have fun watching it. And, we say Parker really represents the rainbow after the storm. And I think that this show will be that just big ball of joy and laughter and heart and emotion that people really need after such a dark year. So,
Absolutely. No, and I feel like that's what the show is gonna do. When you see like when you like when you search Middlemost Post or like Parker
yeah,
J. Cloud on Google, you just see that face. I mean, it just like
I know. My my computer is sitting on a Parker J. Cloud box right now from the premiere. Yeah, one of the first sheets I saw of Parker was like Parker in a million different shapes, like Parker as a sledgehammer, Parker as a helmet, Parker as all these things, and I was just like, oh, this is just great. This is great, but this is like, okay, this is a tall order. Like, how do I make this come through in the
that was
voice?
my
And so,
question. Like, what's the
yeah.
mindset for prepping that voice for Parker?
Well, the wonderful thing is our directors, Dave and John, are just like we get the board, so we get to see kind of what Parker's turning into and when. And sometimes I'll try a line and they'll be like, no, completely. They'll be like, Parker's really excited right now, or Parker is like really, really extremely sad right now. And so they just did such a stellar job directing Parker and like really just going into every recording knowing like, okay, this is because the episodes really Parker learns a lot of lessons along the way, and really
100%.
just kind of like like really naive and just excited and leads with that, but really gets like really emotional and sad and goes through a lot of hard things and learns a lot of life lessons with Angus and Russell and all the other wacky characters they meet along these adventures. So I have to give that one to the directors. They let me have some fun and improvise with John DiMaggio, my co-star, and then they would always offer just like the most amazing direction to where it was like, oh, I get it, I totally get it.
100%. Now, I don't watch cartoons as much as I used to. I dabble here and there, but as much as I used to. Are they doing the kind of traditional format where like 2 12-minute like episodes in one, or is it like one episode? Like, is it like 2 episodes in one basically? Like, how, like, or is it going to be like one full like 26-minute episode?
It'll be like 2 episodes in one.
Yeah. You know what I
Yeah.
mean, right? When there's like,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
They're like 12 minutes ish.
That was like 50-50 growing up with like Nickelodeon, Disney Channel,
Yeah.
Cartoon Network. Like some shows did like the 2. Like I know SpongeBob was always 2, and like some just straight up like it was like one thing for like the half an hour spot.
Yeah, a real special when I go on a real journey. That's a full episode. But yeah, recording wise, I walk out whenever we finish an episode, I'm like, I'm so spent. I'm like, this feels like a 3-hour. That's how much emotion.
Well, I saw you guys did like a junket recently, and I saw you guys were talking about the show. You had the very colorful background and everything, and like, yeah. You could tell like these characters are. They're a lot. You know what I
They're a
mean?
lot. They're a lot. Yeah, they're a lot, which is why I think it's so fun. They are so big. Those moments when they are going ththrough stuff, you're like, oh. One of the episodes I watched on a plane when I was coming home from I think like New Year's, and I was crying. I was like, I can't believe I'm crying.
So you had a chance to see some of it, like some of the
Yeah,
episodes. Okay, because I can never assume that. That's another thing too. Like I always ask if like my
yeah,
guests if they've seen the. So what was that like then? Do you find that kind of it's the same thing? I guess it's different for like stand-up comedy. You know what I mean?
yeah.
But like, what's that like when you work on something and it's done and then you like watch it back or like play it back? Like, what's that like for you?
It is such a roller coaster of emotion. I mean, speaking from like the stage performing, like there's times when I'll get off stage and I'll be like, that was awful. I didn't do anything I planned to, and then like sometimes I'll watch the tape and I'll be like, okay, that was my best set. I'm insane. And I think a lot of times with Parker, it's just like you go through it, you try the takes a bunch of times, they're like, try it this way, try it that way, and then ultimately they have final say with
Yeah.
the animators on picking the takes, and then you see it and you're just like, oh, the team that put this show together, it's really helpful seeing the episodes, because once you see the character in real life, you're just like, oh, I know how I'm supposed, like I know even more how to bring this little nimbus to life, and how to, even just like down to like the little quirks or the little breaths or the little things that you don't think make a big deal, that a lot of times people will call me, and like I do a lot of characters on stage too, and people are like, it's the little asides that really make you kind of buy into a character and believe it and be like, I know this person. And
I love how excited you are about talking about this. I mean, obviously, a lot of projects. Yeah, you work on a lot of projects, but
yeah.
I could like see it with like your whole like. It's amazing to see. I did have one quick question about stand-up comedy quickly. Which
Yeah.
so. Like I always ask sometimes when I interview stand-up comedians on my show, I always want to know what kind of misconceptions and everything. Do you find one of the biggest misconceptions, because this is the one they always say, and I want to know if you agree with it, is that like like a lot of people assume there's a lot more like improvising and winging that goes on in stand-up? Like, is that like something you would agree with? Like you just go on stage for an hour and just wing it? Like that doesn't.
I can't speak for every other comedian, but in speaking from yes, for me, yes, improvise. Like I like to make every show, and I know a lot of comedians wouldn't agree with this. Like a lot of people like stick to their script, and they're like, nope, I do a fresh hour every 2 months, and that's what I just kind of, I think I care about people so much, and like they're general, especially now that we haven't had live performances for a year. I'm just like, I'm so excited to be back in front of an audience. I literally want to kiss everyone on the forehead. um that I like to make every show kind of to a T, like a little bit about them, and and cater to them, and I kind of like to like get a feel for the audience, get a feel for the room,
Yeah, and
and
it's
make it
hard to
personal.
like. Yeah, it's sometimes you got to prep for that too.
Oh yeah, and you just never know what's going to happen in a show, especially like again after people being indoor for years. Like people don't really know how to conduct themselves out in public in social settings anymore. So I've done a couple weekends on the road, and people are like, I just want to be loud at your show. And so sometimes you got to deal with that kind of stuff, and you're like, use your chicken fingers and put put a sock in it. I've been waiting to perform in front of people for forever.
I
But I think like playing Parker is just like, I'm so excited because I'm generally fairly excited all the time. People tell me I have PE teacher energy. Parker just really like it just really struck a chord with me, because I'm the youngest in my family, and Angus kind of like I got talked to a lot of the time by my dad,
yeah.
how Angus talks to Parker in the show. And so it was kind of just, there were so many episodes that I felt really attached to and related to, about like, when you give too much of yourself away, or you give too much happiness away, you try to do too much. And then like, you kind of have this like happiness deficit, and how do you get it back? Sometimes you got to recharge with people, and sometimes you got to recharge on your own. And a lot of the times when you look inward toward like your good friends and family, that's when like the best possible outcomes happen. And so
Yep.
I feel really close to the show. It's really close to my heart. And I think just recording throughout the pandemic while the stand-up performance part was taken away, it was so nice to fuel that energy into this character and into this show, and be able to just like riff bits with the whole team on the show. They're all and they're just amazing. Everyone blows my mind. So I just can't wait for people to see it. I can't wait for you to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to thank you so much for coming on Popternative to chat about this. This is great. It's been awesome. And yeah, so July 9th, Middlemost Post
July
on
9th.
Nickelodeon.
Yes, July 9th, we premiere on Nickelodeon. And Patrick Star Show premieres that night also. So it's a double whammy. So you got to tune in to Nickelodeon, July 9th, big night. And
again, Nickelodeon's done that before. I remember that it was like, growing up, it was like, there wasn't just one premiere, like there was like back to back. So
yeah, we're going big time. Yeah, we were at the premiere. They were like, here's a Middlemost Post bag. Here's a Patrick Star bag. And we're like, it's just like, I have little Patrick Star cookies floating all over my house. And I'm on this weird diet right now. So I can't eat them. But they're so cute that I'm like, I'm going to save this forever. But Parker Cloud.
And you know what? I have to do this. Sometimes are you a fan? Do you appreciate a good dad joke, Becky?
I mean, growing up with a father who made them constantly, of course.
Okay, so what did the female drummer name her 3 daughters?
The female drummer name her 3 daughters. Smacks. Bass. I don't know.
And a 1, and a 2, and a 1.
And a 1, and a 2.
I'm impressed because you actually like were trying to figure out the answer. Usually when I say those, they're just like, I don't know, tell me. And then they just want it to be over because it's gonna be bad. But I appreciate that. That was awesome. Where can people follow you on social media quickly to keep up to date with everything?
Sure, yeah. Fire off some DMs, guys. Hit me up. I'm at Instagram at Becky Robinson 4, on YouTube at the Becky channel, and TikTok at the Becky Robinson Show.
Amazing. Well, this has been Popternative. YouTube.com/Popternative for previous episodes. Parker J. Cloud's going to be voiced by Becky Robinson on Middlemost Post, premiering July 9th on Nickelodeon. Until next time, it's Becky Robinson and PD Beats signing off.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube. Be sure to like Popternative on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.